Today, we're going to run through a few things, which we're going to go into in just a minute. We are recording the session and we will be putting this up somewhere over the next week or two. We just need to work out where we're going to put it, and also keep an eye out on socials for little snippets and gems that we're going to send out there. So thank you all so much for coming along and joining us this afternoon. It does feel like things are slowly finding a way back to their feet, which is great news. Although we're not anywhere near the clear yet, businesses are taking the stride to get back to normal. The next 18 months, I think, are going to be quite interesting for everyone, whether it's something they've taken away from this pandemic in day-to-day life or even in kind of business operations. So the big question is, which is why we're all here today, is how does the role of marketing fit into this? Our theme is going to be around getting back to norm, whatever that is going to be. We're going to be covering 3 key areas. So we're going to have planning your marketing with Jamie, then delivery with myself and Andrew, followed through a quick look at analytics. And then, as the proof is always in the pudding, we're going to have a bit of a Q&A session with Richard Munir about how marketing has helped grow his business. If anybody does have any questions, please do send us an email at the end, or we do have a little Q&A box up there. We can always get back to you at the end because I think we might be a bit tight for time. So I'm going to pass you straight over to Jamie to go through planning your marketing.
Thank you, April. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So I'm going to talk a bit through planning. So I think I might have been a little bit late to the game with this saying. However, on my first day in my first ever marketing role as a junior account executive, my marketing director said to me, "Don't forget the 6 Ps." And looking at my blank face, my marketing director then shouted at me, "Proper planning prevents piss poor performance." I pretty quickly got the message. Whilst the 6 Ps are relevant to many more aspects of life than marketing, when I looked at the kind of budgets that my new clients were spending, I quickly learned that it was hugely important in my new role. I'm not going to pretend to be the kind of guy who finds it easy to have every single detail planned out from the offset. However, I've built a team at Hyped, and it's a strong team around me who do plan out every detail. So whether you're spending hundreds of pounds or hundreds of thousands of pounds, every penny of that budget needs to be returning on its intention. Without planning your marketing, it's like playing darts in the dark. Here are some examples where planning hasn't gone deep enough. So Levi's ran a really unsuccessful campaign with a headline message of "Hotness comes in all shapes and sizes," which no doubt started with good intentions of removing body image pressures. However, the casting agent decided that the traditional model-esque figures would be a requirement of the models that were going to be used in the photo shoot for the campaign. Hardly all shapes and sizes, and Levi's received the type of backlash you would expect. Another example of bad planning was from Durex, who decided to include a free toy car with their product alongside a headline saying something along the lines of "in case it breaks." Well, that's hardly a shout of confidence in their own product. Inevitably, neither the Levi's or Durex campaigns ran for very long, and this would have cost these brands thousands and thousands of pounds, never mind the damage to the brand reputation. When it comes to emails, proper planning is needed for the whole campaign. You can design the most beautiful image-led campaign, but unless you include expertise from the email administrators, there's a good chance the end user won't see the campaign in the light that the creatives intended it to be seen. I'm sure we've all seen emails looking like the image here in the middle. Who wants to have to right-click on an email to load external images? And who wants an email to arrive from an email address that goes by do-not-reply@companydomain.com? If they're trying to communicate with their customers, why block them just at the moment that their customers want to communicate back? Now, marketing fails due to multiple reasons. It could be a complete lack of a marketing plan, not knowing what your value proposition is. From my experience, I would say that many startups are guilty of this one, investing too early in high-end caliber marketing staff and expecting them to be the golden ticket and the complete answer to growing your business. Obviously, targeting the wrong audience is not going to help. At Hyped, we know our offering and who might be interested. There's very little point in us targeting huge businesses in Silicon Valley. That is so far from our target audience. We know that small and medium businesses within 1 hour travel time from us are after our service, and that's the people who we aim our messaging at. Not having a proper website is an absolute clanger for marketing campaigns. Have we all seen the adverts on Instagram lately? They sell anything from t-shirts to conservatories. Have a look at the comments. The service seems to be shocking, and outside of the Instagram advert and the payment gateway, there's very little way of getting in contact with the company should you need to. They're giving sellers a bad name on Instagram and tainting the reputable sellers. Not having a blog on your website. Having a blog on your website really helps in search engine rankings. There's nothing worse than advertising your company, someone hearing about it, then they go and look for your product or company and they can't find you online. Being too competitor orientated. Chances are when your business started its offering, you wanted to be different to the others in the marketplace. And yet businesses then start focusing on mimicking what their competition is doing. Be yourself and showcase the differentiator. Avoiding social media marketing can be a killer too. The best trust comes from your customers' peers. Get people talking and engaging with you online. Investing in big marketing from the offset. This is similar to hiring marketing staff of a too high caliber. Clever marketing that is targeted produces much better results than shouting expensive adverts to people that are never going to be interested in your product. So where do we start when we're planning a campaign? Everyone here at Hype knows that I love a whiteboard. So inevitably, that is where a lot of our planning starts. Here's a typical brain dump that we regularly fill our boards with. Here, we are looking at who Hype are targeting. We'll look at the 4 aspects of our campaign. We take a look at the skills that we want to be telling our audience about. We look at the type of messaging that we're going to be using in our communications. We think about the size of the organisations we're talking to, and we consider the location of those targets. We must always think about the size of our customer. We think about the capital the target might have available. We look at the legal form of ownership of the business. This is also great for insight into who could be the actual decision maker in that business. We look at how many employees that target has, but more specifically, how many people in the organisation that find the service we're offering relevant to them. For example, a business may have 30 persons in manufacturing, but only 1 in marketing. They would be prime for us. However, having 5 people in production, 5 people in finance, 5 in sales, 5 people in marketing may suggest that a company likes to handle all aspects of its business in-house, and our efforts in targeting may be fruitless. Whereas a business with the majority of its personnel in manufacturing or production could suggest that they outsource sales and marketing services. Have a look at the turnover of the business. Remember though, that a business selling a physical item could have a large turnover without actually generating much revenue from its service offering. We remember that every business is different, but we think about these things, we can properly plan our marketing activities towards our targets. You need to think about whether the physical location of your customer is relevant. I hear it so often from business owners that anyone anywhere would want to buy their service. Yes, they may, but if they can get the same service or product more locally and easier, then they most likely will. For us, we know that our typical customer is likely to be willing to travel for about 1 hour to come and see us. Therefore, our target area is within a 60-minute drive time. Note that it's the drive time of the travel that is interesting, not the physical distance. Here's a little tip for you. Go to app.traveltime.com and put in your location and the distance a customer would most likely travel to you for your particular service. You might not be surprised at what you see, but it gives you a great visual representation of where your customers are likely to come from. This example above shows a 30-minute drive from Kingston. So if you had a bicycle repair company in Kingston and felt most of your customers would travel for up to 30 minutes to come and see you, then this is the locations that you should use for mail drops, PPC campaigns, advertising campaigns. Obviously, this changes from business to business and you need to consider your own tweaks. However, it's a great way to stop you spending money on advertising, only for the audience to visit a more local, more convenient provider who would most likely be the competition. Think about the skills that are relevant to your audience. What does the target audience want from you? In our case, we offer a lot of services, from SEO to social media to web design to blog writing. However, swamping the prospects with all of this could leave them wondering what it is that we want to sell. So we position them together and talk about complete marketing packages that simplify online marketing. Apple are especially good at this. They either promote the brand as a whole and talk about Apple, or they specifically talk about one product. Even though they have many products, they would never blur the lines by running an advert that talks about MacBooks and iPhones at the same time. Really importantly, we should plan the messaging we're going to be using in our marketing. The message must be relevant to the audience, yes, but also think about adding your personality to the message, and also in what situation the recipient will be digesting that marketing message. The tone used in a direct sales email would most likely be very different to a social media post on LinkedIn. Think about the persona you want to portray. Is it friendly and playful, or could it be inspiring and professional? Should the tone be personal or clinical? What about the language that is used? Think about how brand awareness might suit a fun language, whereas knowledge building could be more complex. Don't forget the purpose of the message. What are you trying to get across? Is it to engage? Is it to entertain? Or is it to sell? Whether it be the 6 Ps or another way, remember to get good solid planning in place. Without good foundations, your marketing efforts are most likely to be misguided and therefore overly expensive.
Thanks, Jamie. So I'm not sure how many of you guys might have heard of the AIDA model. It is awareness, interest, desire, and action. So you can look at this from a sales and marketing view as kind of the external sales funnel, if you like. What I've started to do here at Height is look at it more as awareness, consideration, and action. Basically, I've just smushed interest and desire together to make it a little bit more easy. So think of this as your customer's journey, and following all your planning, you should already identify where your audience are active and know a little bit more about their online tribes. So let's have a look at what channels we would use to move your customers through this process. And obviously every organization is different, so you're going to have to amend these depending on your audience. Now, many businesses are built on the foundation of talking to the same audiences over and over again. The challenges arise when it comes to attracting a new audience, which is why you should never underestimate the power of building brand awareness. This should be a fundamental element within all your ongoing marketing. It shouldn't be overlooked when launching campaigns, because if your prospect doesn't know who you are, why would they engage with you? In hindsight, all the different tactics we talk about today can be used in different areas of the model. However, with time constraints, I thought we'd allocate them different areas as you'll know what's going to be best for your audience. So we're going to start off with social. It's a great tool for building brand awareness. Your brand needs to be seen 5 to 7 times by your audience for them to recognize you. So in the digital world, that translates into 5 to 7 impressions. So in theory, that means you need your audience to see your content over 5 times before they can identify it's you and move further through our cycle. Now, the question is, how are you going to get noticed and cut through that noise? Ultimately, it's going to be your copy, imagery, hashtags, and who you are directly engaging with. So if we start with the beloved hashtag of the 21st century, it does have a bit more science than kind of hashtagging random words. It's a great way to increase exposure, and you can also jump on trending hashtags where appropriate and use like themes, for instance, Hump Day or Friday Facts, and also think about those buzzwords in your industry and what professionals would be following or interested in hearing about. So following the most recent update across social channels, there is an optimal amount of hashtags per channel and where to post links in the comments. So in Twitter, we try to only use 2 hashtags, and due to the character limit, you can put them throughout. Whereas with Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, there's all kind of different ones. So Facebook, stick to 1 at the end of the post. The algorithm automatically picks up keywords in your post anyway, and then you post the link in the comments. LinkedIn, you can use up to 5 hashtags at the end of your post. And again, include any links in your comments. It's quite different on a business to a personal page. So do a little bit of A/B testing on that and see what you get. And then Instagram, go crazy, use as many as you like, but again, keep them at the end of your post.
And the imagery you choose within your social posts, whether that's going to be illustrative or photographic, is another powerful tool which can reveal another personality to your brand. You'll want to make sure your images stand out against competitors within the newsfeed and stop someone with a striking post when they're scrolling aimlessly. And the way we process information is forever changing. With attention spans getting shorter, we often see videos having a higher engagement rate than photos with text. Creating your own video content could be what your business is missing. People really want to see that human side of the business these days. We've seen higher engagement on posts with our team and our clients' teams because essentially people still buy from people and they want to see who runs the show behind closed doors. Being the star of your own video can be scary, but practice makes perfect. So definitely give it a go, and you might be a natural in front of the camera. So let's take a look at all this in practice. We've taken a deeper look at Burning Tree's social channels and where they are actively present. And currently they're utilising 2 channels, Twitter and LinkedIn, as these are where their audience is sitting and most engaged with the brand. It's better to utilise the 2 channels and do these really well than to spread yourself thinner and not reap the rewards.
So we're going to start off by looking at LinkedIn. This is a fantastic platform for Burning Tree to reach their relevant audience of C-level executives, particularly within IT and risk departments. So when you're producing any content, you need to think of how this will influence your audience and this also applies when posting news stories. So the post on the left highlights the importance of being urgent when it comes to cybersecurity, whilst using a question within the post gets the audience thinking. The article provides a number of useful tools for IT professionals and online experts within the field. So it had about a 12% engagement rate, and this post also performed exceptionally well on Twitter when we dove into the analytics. The next post is a bit more self-promotional, but it's using phrases like, find out more about the obstacles we face, which then sparks interest within the reader to see if Bow & Tree has overcome a problem that they have faced, whilst the image gives quite a quick snapshot of particular areas.
And looking at this infographic, it's a perfect infographic to use. They've used their brand colours to stay consistent with their website branding and external collateral. And the image is simple, but quickly conveys the message, makes you stop within the newsfeed. It's just a great piece of content all round for their user base on LinkedIn.
So this post actually had about 9.8% engagement rate. I think it's good to mention that the benchmark for LinkedIn is about 0.54%. So you can now see how our 3 different elements, copy, hashtags, and imagery, can have quite a big impact on what you're posting. One of the top tips we actually have here at Hyped is, if we look at the image on the left-hand side, we've pulled through the image that Computer Weekly use. This is going to help you save time. It's also going to help you save money if you have a pay-as-you-go photo description. And also it's going to help keep your content fresh and different. So we're going to move on to Twitter now. So social interaction is a two-way street, and it's kind of the same when it comes to social media. Users want instant gratification, and Twitter is a really good place to achieve this. The cybersecurity space is fast moving, and being reactive and joining conversations is a great way to add value to your business, to your audience, as well as leveraging off your vendors or customers. So if we start with a retweet of their partner Clear Sky on the right there, sharing content from your suppliers, customers and partners provides a mutual benefit for both parties, and also increases the likelihood that they're going to share your relevant content within their community as well. So I wouldn't just stick to these categories though. If you start engaging with journalists and news outlets, it's a great way to jump on new and relevant news as well. And then the second post, again, this is highlighting the webinar. It's another self-promotional post looking for last-minute registrations. This had a really high engagement rate as well, about 69%. And the format of this is short and to the point. That image provides a clear and concise information. Again, it's using their branding to help cut through the noise of their competition, and it's adding another tick on our impression list. Now, PR. So PR is all about generating perception and proving the power of word of mouth on a much wider scale. It's learning how to exercise your knowledge by creating appropriate and relevant news around your business through targeted content that will reach your consumers, employees, and senior leaders. Status Lab claims that 90% of searchers haven't made their mind up before a brand. Before, I always get this tongue-tied, but you can read it on the screen. So for that reason, PR is crucial to tell your company story and add value behind your advertising to help turn searchers into those future customers. And it's going to help your company grow in the eyes of the consumer. So positive press releases can help support people who are just browsing or undecided to move into the consideration stage of our model. By appearing in these reputable and long-standing publications, you're pushing your company to the top browser search results, enabling you to get seen online and raising your brand awareness. So let's take a look at this in practice. ProDrive IT is a Surrey-based IT business that has managed to hack this fantastic tactic. They've appeared in several national magazines, as well as industry-specific, to reach their audience, so they have quite a variety of touch points. One of their latest successes has been within The Guardian, where Managing Director Bruce Penson commented on how to stay secure whilst working at home, and he also appeared next to big players such as SentinelOne. So being in a publication like this is obviously the dream, and it's highly positive for the company, and it's going to help cement their authority within their industry because they're being seen by the mass market. So we call this a horizontal placement, as you're building awareness of your brand to individuals who aren't necessarily within your target audience as well. Now, I wanted to highlight a different article that ProDrive has also published, as it's actually within a blogging forum. I want to showcase that both pieces add value to your audience in different ways, and they're both highly effective. Now, Blogging Community World allows ProDrive to engage directly with their audience through sparking a conversation around the piece. In turn, it's helping them to build a positive reputation. The website has a large following and has specific tags used to help users find relevant content to them. So it allows for project to target their prospects more directly, which is then what we would call a vertical industry placement.
So moving on to SEO. SEO is all about optimizing your brand, your website, and anywhere your content could possibly appear, which is why it's a major player when we talk about awareness. Someone might not even know about you until they type in a keyword that you rank for. Consistency is key when it comes to all things marketing, even SEO. It goes beyond the keyword research on page and technical elements of simply optimizing your website, although these are all still important. By the end of 2019, nearly 93% of online experiences began with a search engine. And in the UK, 93% of searches were completed using Google. The same stat for mobile alone is nearly 98%. Unfortunately, there are no magic tricks or loopholes that can fool the search engines into ranking your website on the first page. But we can let you in on a little secret to SEO in 2020, and that's that it's all about the user. With the internet allowing for 24-hour access, consumers are seeking instant gratification, and your website could be the very first touch point. I'll go more into this shortly. There are over 200 major ranking factors for SEO, but it all boils down to one thing: who's the best at being helpful to users? Essentially, if content or a page of your website wouldn't answer a user's question or need, Google will deem it less important and favour other results instead of your content. Plus, from Google's point of view, people are becoming more impatient with their busy lives. They want an answer to their query there and then, which goes back to that instant gratification thing, which I think we can all relate to. There's also a heap of new opportunities these days to get your website seen outside of the normal 10 organic search results. And these are called SERP features. There are 16 major ones ranging from instant answers, videos, Twitter posts to reviews, images, and local packs. But what's key to ranking well on Google and potentially performing in these SERP features? Expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. And you'll start hearing this EAT concept more and more as SEO progresses. Google doesn't just care about delivering the most relevant information, it also wants to deliver the correct information. Without fantastic, knowledgeable, and well-written copy on your website and throughout your blogs, you will struggle massively with SEO. But we don't want to talk negatively about Google because, let's face it, they're probably listening.
So Google My Business. I can see my mouse moving on the screen as well. It's very distracting. So not everybody has a shop or a restaurant that you can just visit, but there is an absolute must for businesses that target and rely on customers in a more localized area. So, for example, if you live in Farnborough and you wanted a cleaner, you're unlikely to want one that a company up in Manchester. So using the local pack and search results or the map tab is the most logical way for users to filter out their options. This could be done from a search similar to cleaning companies near me or cleaning companies in Hampshire, which is a great tool for building your brand awareness within the local community. And actually, it's how a lot of our clients find us here at Hyped through these features.
Websites are relevant across all categories, so we're going to briefly touch on three things, and that is the aesthetic, the user journey, and the user experience as they fit within our sales funnel. A potential customer could visit your website multiple times before they decide to take action. So let's start with the aesthetics. The combination of imagery, color, font, and all those other parts that make up your brand will be the first impression that your audience will get. Think of your brand aesthetic in the same way that you'd approach an interview. You'd think about the way you dress appropriate for the role that you are applying for, whether that be casual or smart, as well as it reflects in your personality. So what does your brand say about you, and what are you trying to achieve through your design? Do you want to show that you're a fun and colourful company to work alongside, or do you want to keep things clean and sleek, showing you want to be taken seriously? If we take a look at the Hyped website, and also all of our external collateral, you can see how our brand, ethos, and colours are consistent throughout. Instantly, from clicking on the homepage, you can see exactly what we do without having to hunt for the information. A complete marketing package for $15.95 with a small description about our agency, and it's just enough to get you interested, but not so much that you don't want to read it. Our font is easy to read and consistent throughout, and the bold pink is our primary colour with grey body text. We've kept our palette simple with a few accent colours to stand out. Our uncomplicated and striking branding has made it easy for us to cut through the noise and stand out from the crowd whilst being easily recognisable.
So that now leads us on to consideration. So this is where individuals are going to be evaluating your brand, product, or service to identify if they're going to be, if you're going to be the right match for them. It's important that we try and limit as much leakage as possible here. So leakage is basically where people come out of the funnel, and I'm doing hand movements, but you can't see me. It's just where they fall out of our little brand bubble that we're creating. So if we provide original content, evidence, and an outstanding customer journey, this is going to help reduce that leakage and then moving people through to action. So this leads me on to blogs. As an interesting fact I found recently is blogging can generate 67% more leads. So it's a fantastic way to emphasize your brand's values, spark conversation with existing clients, and draw in new ones. Now, regularly generated quality blogs are more important than ever in positioning you as a reputable thought leader, as well as being a step above your competition. So you've got 5 fundamental parts to written copy: technical, tone of voice, audience, and format, and purpose. I've summarized each one of them quickly to show you why they're important to think of before you're writing your next blog post. So we've got the technical side, that's looking at your spelling, grammar, punctuation, tone of voice, so it's the personality of your business coming through. Before you write any of the content, you need to have a clear picture in your mind of exactly who you are talking to. And you need to consider what format the copy is going to be in. So typically online content is shorter and snappier to keep readers interested. And finally, you need a clear purpose for that piece of writing. What do you want to achieve with this content? Now, I've had a blogs into consideration stage of our process because of a buying cycle I've personally been through. So I'm sure you've all heard of Monzo, and I think people who haven't just don't use the internet or go out the house at all. So I already knew who they were, and I was sitting in the awareness side of the funnel. And I came across this blog on LinkedIn, and it's called 10 Reasons Why You'll Hate Having a Monzo. And instantly I just clicked on it. It's come from the own company. Why would they say that about their own card? So I put in the screenshot here. I don't think you'll be able to read it, but you can see the visuals and everything that they've put in there. So what I love about this blog so much was obviously that name of it. I could class it as clickbait. I just thought it was clever, bold, and different. And all of the content within the blog is coming from customers' personal experience. Yes, users were moaning about little bits about the product, but they turned it into a positive here, which is a great thing to do. So they moved me down the funnel into consideration. So I'm now sitting at this stage. I had an interest and I had a desire to know more about having that Monzo account, but I'll let you know in action what my final trigger was going to be. Now, if we look at this from a B2B perspective, so I picked up this blog from an employer of record organization, PEO worldwide, and it's called Why Should You Expand Your Business? Now, it's about global expansion, this piece, and it's just fantastic. So it guides you through that whole process and all of those USPs about international expansion and the possibilities it could mean for your business. They're showing their in-depth knowledge and gaining trust with their readers through building that credibility. And it's super easy to read. So it's developing that reader's desire to take the next step. The language is really friendly and it's easy to understand, so you don't get caught up with all of the jargon that sometimes is in these kinds of blogs. The idea is that if the togs aren't turning yet about international expansion, they should be now. And if you already have that idea and you've been fact gathering, it's going to help move you further down the consideration funnel and perhaps even push you into ready to take action. So blogs are also a great tool when we're working on campaigns. So for instance, if you're taking on a new market, having that original content on your website to support your knowledge within the area can add that extra layer to your offering and then continue to develop that trust again. And also if you're doing outbound sales, you can direct prospects to it again. So it's all about showing that you have proven your expertise, if you like. I did want to cover PR again in consideration because the ideal press release tells the right story at the right time to the right audience to help maximize your lead generation and then enhance your company revenue. It's a highly effective and powerful tool for any business, except maybe if you're breaking the law. But if we circle back to our content fundamentals, we have identified specific objects for our written pieces. So for instance, if we want to reach a particular customer persona, then ID Bulletin is the perfect example for Burning Tree. So this is an online publication for identity professionals. This piece is topical and very current. It was talking about the pandemic and the date of the release, as well as having some extra pull from the article being written by their CISO, David. So they also provided links to their partners here, which can be another quick win for you guys. as they're going to be benefiting from exposure. So they're going to be more likely to promote you in other pieces as well. The article was really thought-provoking for the readers and influenced them to take a further look into zero trust and what they can do about it. So it's making Burning Tree a more desirable organisation to research into. And they also do have a backlink on there as well to their website, which makes for an easy user journey and supports the SEO efforts.
So on that subject, has your company ever changed name or your office address or your phone number? I'm sure you've all had that infuriating moment when you've tried to call a company directly off your phone from Google and it doesn't work, simply because they've changed their name or their phone number and they haven't updated everywhere they should, Google Business and all the directories. So NAP stands for name, address and phone. We mentioned consistency earlier, and believe it or not, something as simple as not having your business name, address and phone number consistent across your website, Google My Business and directories can really harm your SEO efforts. From experience, inconsistent NAP can be caused by a number of human errors and business changes, including changing your business address and not updating previously built citations, directory listings, etc. Having a different store address to the company registered address and using both of them online, generating different phone numbers for attribution tracking purposes. Not only can all of the above cause issues for your local SEO, they can also cause a number of user experience issues. And poor user experience, as we all know, leads to loss of business and damage to your brand. Local searches often represent higher than average conversion rates. So get it right and you'll be surprised by the results you get from something as simple to fix this. Within consideration, we're going to be looking at the user journey for a website called Vital, who provide personalized vitamins, which the team came across through our perk box. And they just fell in love with how the website worked. The homepage is simple and visual with a good loading speed, so you're not waiting around for the website to load and getting bored and bouncing off. It has a clear call to action at the top right, as well as short snippets of information that are easily digested to the user and explain the process. Simple and effective, with call to actions throughout, making it easier for the user to start the personalized process through the exploration of the website. One of the things the team found interesting here is that the main bulk of the website navigation seems to be in the footer rather than the navigation bar. This is a great way to get your users to do what you want, but could be troubling when users are trying to find specific information and aren't used to this style of navigation.
I do highly recommend everybody going and ordering some of these vitamins as well, because they are fabulous. So this is when we now move into action. So we've been pushing all of our traffic, this is where we're trying to be pushing all of our traffic to. This is where our audience profiling and planning has been leading up to. We've made our audience aware of who we are, and they're now considering using our products or services. The next part is that we want them to take action, get in touch with a member of a team, or if any of you guys here are an e-commerce-based business, we want them to buy your product. So everything we've done, again, it comes down to reducing that leakage. So if we go back to Monzo, it was a review that pushed me over the edge. Although it wasn't an online source, it was through people I know who used it, and that's what made me take action. So just don't underestimate how powerful a positive opinion of you can be, which takes us nicely onto Google reviews. Now, we would all obviously like hundreds of 5-star reviews because it's a bit of a cheeky pat on the back to confirm that you're doing something right. However, these days it has a lot of impact on your SEO, and probably a lot more than what you thought. So we take Google reviews, for example, based on the number you have and the average score and whether the content can help a user or prospect customer, you are more likely to be pushed up into the first 3 positions on the local pack SERP feature or on a direct Google map search. You've also got Trustpilot and reviews.com. They work fantastically for e-commerce or more static service pages. So if you have verified purchase reviews for a product every competitor doesn't, you're more likely to be pushed up those rankings. And then here's a lovely one for the loft from there to show you. Emails. Now, I'm going to talk specifically about prospect emails here, as we can tailor them to promote key services and upcoming events, and this could be the final push your prospects need to get in touch. So sending out useful information provides you with the tools to build credibility with your audience. They allow you to reach the right people with the right content at the right time. I'm just going to repeat myself there. But they can be used for the following: generating calls or leads, increasing donations, boosting sales, increasing your website traffic, and growing your audience. So that all kind of ties together your audience being involved with your brand. Now, we all receive hundreds of emails a day, so I'm just going to let you know about some things that we have found to work for us. Now, a great example of this is this Troy Holmes email. So it's inviting prospects to an event they were hosting at one of their show homes. So we narrowed the content of the email and we wrote this with their user in mind. We added imagery that also best showcases the apartment itself. So really visual, short and snappy. We actually got a really positive return on this. We got about 45% open rate. And the event itself was registered quite a good event, registered quite a good success. Now, another example of this, a more B2B focused one, is this campaign. So we target this to Mitel partners. We are one of their preferred suppliers and decided to directly target this audience with our own bespoke offering. So the email is eye-catching, it's within our branding, but it's also appealing to that kind of more professional working environment. Instead of a hard call to action, we actually use a link to one of our blogs here to cement our knowledge. Again, we had about a 21% open rate on this, but we did have a lead come out directly from this email, which is great, and it can be a great representation of how you can appeal to a different audience with slight tweaks. So the things that you guys need to consider before you send out your emails or whilst you're developing them are, is your copy making sense? Is the email grammatically correct? Does it look pretty? Do all of the links work, which I've been guilty of several times? Does everything line up? Is it responsive? And are there enough call to actions for you to get your user to do what it wants? Now, thought we'd talk a little bit about contact forms. So the placement of your contact forms can really improve the user journey and help increase your leads. So having plenty of call to actions across your website makes it a lot easier for prospects to get in touch with you. So other than just having that contact us page, I wanted to run through other techniques that you can use based on different types of content that you may have on your website.
So firstly, we wanted to show you the PEO Germany country page. Now, this is a beautiful page filled with information which also doubles up as a landing page with long tail SEO for searchers who know exactly what they're looking for. We've kept the call to action close to the top without skipping the key information. For instance, we've kept it right next to some notable points.
Now, if we compare this to the landing page for this webinar, we've added our call to action within an anchor, which basically means when you click it, it will pull you down through to the reserve your seat section. For attendees who already know they wanted to attend within the header image, with short, snappy information to give an overview. So none of the information here is too overwhelming or too long for the users to read, so they bounce off the page. Now, the last one I wanted to show you is Proline. They have an abundance of fresh, thought-led content uploaded to their blog section of the website. It generates them quite a lot of traffic. So because of this, what they've done is they implemented this contact form at the bottom of every blog, rather than directing their traffic to their Contact Us page and an internal link. It's a really good strategic move when you receive a lot of traffic through this section of your website, or you have a lot of time spent here. It takes out that little extra step of the user journey, which could make some prospects wait a little bit longer to take that action. Now, what they all have in common is that it's a really short contact forms with minimal information. It makes it more appealing for your prospects to get in touch with you, request and sign up. I'm sure you've all had it. There's been times when you've gone to sign up for something or register and there's about 15 fields to fill in. So you just give up and go somewhere else. So keep it short and sweet, and they're more likely to hand over those details to you.
So the last part of looking at the website is the user experience. However, user experience is the overall experience of a person using a product, such as a website or computer application, especially in terms of how easy or pleasing it is to use. Now, when we look at Hyped, we provide a service, so this now translates into our frontline staff. And when it comes to products, this could be the delivery and back-end processes you have in place, which leads us on to the marrying up of online and offline. Now, I know we're trying to stay away from traditional methods. However, no one can fault beautiful print, especially now home deliveries are on the up. I wanted to go back quickly to the Vital website we looked at for user journey and show you how their packaging and feel follows on from the website effortlessly, making it a really slick process and a fantastic user experience. Communication with team members is also key when making the online experience also an offline experience. You want to ensure that your frontline staff are brand advocates and ooze your brand's core values or personality. Your frontline staff will be the first human contact that your potential client will interact with, so it's vital they know what's going out in external communications. These elements all fall into the experience category. You want to make sure that everything your customers and prospects experience offline and online are in unison, whether that's dealing with support or finance departments through to your online content. Everything should be married up in a seamless process. Let's face it, we're all human, but it's important we do everything we can to control these environments to ensure there's a seamless process. Remember, your customers are the best place to provide feedback for you to improve, which leads us nicely onto how to measure your digital marketing.
Fabulous. So we're going to use Google Analytics. I think that's what is mainly used across the board here. Now, that's going to help you understand your website and your campaign's performance better. It's going to highlight where you can make improvements. So I'm sure the team here and a few of our clients, when I randomly burst into their meetings, are sick of me going on about something I call the Kaizen concept. Now, it's actually a Japanese business methodology. There you go. But I basically live by it. It's where you constantly monitor and review and you make little tweaks to improve performance. And it happens over time. It's not something that happens like overnight. Of course, there are always going to be little improvements that can lead you guys to quick wins, but ultimately your website and marketing are ongoing and they're going to need to evolve over time as you do. So Google Analytics is going to be a fantastic way to see what channels are working to drive your traffic and identifying well-performing pages. You will also be able to look at how your audience is behaving on your website. So here at Hype, we look at a set number of metrics each month to see where improvements can be made to the website. So we've got bounce rates. So this indicates the percentage of users who left after viewing a single page on your site and taking no additional action. Top pages, this is a great one to review and then use to drill down further in how users behave on your website. You can use this to develop your page website structure, as well as seeing what each page is being ranked for. Acquisition is my favorite one. So you can see where your traffic is coming from, whether it's social or search or your PPC campaigns, and you can see what's working and what isn't, so you know where to focus your efforts. Average page duration and average number of page views go hand in hand in my eyes, as you expect them to increase and kind of decrease together, which isn't always the case. It depends on what purpose you have for your website and what you're looking to achieve there. So you've got to track this month on month to see how you're improving and where improvements can be made. So every business had different goals, and there is a trick to translate this into marketing KPIs. So for instance, we know that inbound leads have a higher conversion rate than outbound leads. So by increasing our website traffic, we're more likely to receive inbound leads, as a really loose example of that. Now, I'm going to try and put this all into a bit of an overview for you. So if we take Burning Tree, for example, for the metrics and say that they had 500 visitors in May and their top traffic source was organic. They had about 1.8 average page views. People were spending about a minute on the site. 90% of these users are new to the website. There's about a 67% bounce rate. Then they decided, you know what, we're going to do a webinar at the end of June, and our planning, we know that we should push this through social. We're actually going to write a bit of a blog piece around it, put that in an industry-specific magazine, and we'll send a prospect email to the database. And actually, you know what, let's create a landing page to support our organic growth here. Then we look at the end of June, and these are our new stats. We've had an increase of 50 visitors, but most of them came through their social channels. We've seen a decrease in our page views, but they've kept their new sessions roughly the same, but we did see that their bounce rate has increased to about 70%. Now, at first glance, you would think that we've directed the users wrong and it hasn't been much of a success. However, if you drill down and see that most of the traffic went to that landing page, where our social call to actions were directing the traffic and users received all the information they need in one space, that would explain why we saw a decrease in page views and an increase in bounce rate. So just remember, the numbers aren't always what you think at first, but keeping a note of what you were doing and tracking this month from month, you can help see your successes in one kind of more overall and holistic view. It's really, really important. Which leads us on to A/B testing now. So A/B testing and split testing is probably things that you guys have heard of before. People use them interchangeably, but they're actually two different tests. So A/B testing is changing one element, for instance, your call to action, whereas split testing is changing the whole design. So here we tend to go more towards A/B testing. as we like to use the data to see what tweaks we've made and improvements. So again, that goes back to our Kaizen concept there. And by doing the A/B testing, you're going to be reviewing what assets are going to perform better with your audience and drive the most results. It's kind of like a mini competition. Once you've received your data, you can start diving into why this asset performed better. For instance, if we go back to the landing page, you would review kind of the traffics, the clicks, and the conversions, and then you can use the information from the two, see which call to action is going to be better to help shape future campaigns and content.
So here's some examples of what Hype did for our event invite to Your Business Only Louder. This was an event that we put on earlier this year. We sent out a series of emails with a random 50-50 split with different header images, and we wanted to see whether a GIF or a personalized static image would be more appealing to audience based on current trends and emails that we were receiving. From the test sends, we found out that the open rate varied each time, but only within a 2 to 5%. As we had the same subject line and quite a lot of our emails are opened on mobile, we would expect this. However, the interesting part of this was that we found that a test with our static but personalized image had a better click to open rate every time. This could be due to our audience using Outlook predominantly, which doesn't render GIFs very well, or that the personalization of the email caught their eye more. Our taken away from this has been to use the personalization aspect of it higher up within emails when possible. We've seen a positive reaction from our audience and seen an influx of email clicks within the email. The next part of our testing has been to look at senders when we send out prospect emails. Are users more likely to open emails from Hype Marketing or from a friendly name they have done business with, for instance, April or Jamie or myself?
So we do recommend that you have quite a large database to perform these tests. You can get a good insight into your data. Most people say around 1,000 contacts is the minimum we would suggest, unless you're working with a particular data set or a niche data set for your audience. But you guys will be fascinated by what you find if you start giving this a go, because sometimes you would expect one thing and something else completely comes out of the woodwork. So from that, I think it's time we asked Richard some questions about marketing. So the first one I guess I have for you, Richard, then is, where have you seen the most value from having ongoing marketing for Burning Tree?
Hi, April. Really interesting and informative presentation you guys have given. So I think where we've seen, that's Burning Tree, where we've seen the most value from marketing, it's in a couple of places. Firstly, through having a professional looking website that is regularly updated. We have at least a monthly blog that goes on there and a few other bits and pieces changing, so the website is kept up to date. And if any of our potential customers have a look at the website, it looks like we're a smart professional company. Our regular social media postings has certainly increased the audience that we're able to reach, and the awareness about ourselves that we're able to generate. And thirdly, I would say probably the monthly newsletter, which goes out to our mailing list of contacts and is a regular reminder of the things that we are doing. Each newsletter normally points to our monthly blog plus some of our top social media postings.
Yeah, and your newsletter is beautiful as well, so it's a good one, that one.
Hi, Richard.
Hi.
Hi. Just talking about your website there. You recently, over the last year, you've had a big old revamp on the website and your imagery. And we were just wondering, what was the motivation behind that?
Well, we started working with Height about 4 years ago, and one of the first things we did was update our website. So when we came to Height, our website had been built by one of our directors. So it was a sort of self-made thing. It wasn't brilliant. It was fine, but it wasn't great. So we took a big step up when we first joined with Height. But we had noticed it was starting to look a little bit dated. There wasn't a consistency with our brand and image. And as I mentioned before, we particularly want the website to look like we're very professional. you know, to make us look like a big and professional company. And what we had done is we were looking around at some of the websites that we ourselves liked, and we noticed you tend to see trends in the way that websites are going. So our first website, for example, would have a number of pages, and you would try and fit the content on a single page. But the way websites seem to be going is that the idea of scrolling down pages to get to different bits of content seems to be the way they're going. So we wanted to update it and make it look as though it was a modern, smart website.
Yeah, I think I remember, I think I was in that meeting when we were looking through all of those different websites. Well, there was quite a few of us. Oh yeah, it was a good session.
That's right.
So kind of from that then, obviously the website's been a great tool in over the last year then. Would you say there's been a specific marketing tactic that has been more effective for you guys reaching potential customers?
Yes, and I could probably say three things, not in any particular order, but if we start with the newsletter, that has certainly helped. Our customers do mention that they read our newsletter each month when it comes out, and it's a great way to keep engaged with the people on our mailing list. Social media has certainly helped. Just a quick stat, our LinkedIn membership has gone from about 20 odd, well, not membership, you know, people who follow us on LinkedIn, it's gone from about 25 odd to 190 or so. But Twitter has been the big increase. When we started, I think one of our first meetings with Hype, we had just begun Twitter. We needed some of the young, more tech savvy people showing us how to use it. You know, this thing, and we've gone from about 30 to 1,020 followers now. So that's a fantastic way for us to reach 1,000 people that are in a similar, a lot of them are in a similar industry to us. So social media has been a big thing, and I think in some ways, especially since we've got GDPR and a lot of more protections around individuals' privacies, the days of just buying lists of people's names and addresses so you can, you know, send them emails or physical mail is changing somewhat, and things like Twitter and LinkedIn are a great way to reach large audiences. And then the third one is the PR placements. We have had a number of our blogs and articles published in industry magazines, which again brings us into some new people, you know, people we're trying to reach, CIOs and CEOs in large organizations. So the PR placements have certainly helped as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So what would you say to another business in your field that don't think they need marketing?
Well, they're wrong. They just are. You know, things like social media is an increasingly important way to promote a company. I think, you know, that leads on from what I was saying about Twitter and LinkedIn for us. You know, other, just because of the industry we're in and the people we're trying to reach, I don't think Facebook and Instagram are really the way for us to go. We're trying to reach you know, C-level executives at sort of FTSE 100 type companies mainly, and not many of them are on Instagram or Facebook for that sort of thing. So for us, LinkedIn and Twitter have got a big, I think, of it very important.
Okay, lovely. And I suppose I'm going to have to ask you a bit of a cheeky question now. So as you said earlier, we've been working together for a number of years now. I guess the main question is, what is the biggest benefit you've gained from working with a marketing agency?
You know, I'm glad you asked that, April. Burning Tree are a consulting company. So we try and sell our services to companies because we are experts in our particular field. So we can go into an organization and say, look, we really know about this subject and we can help you. What we are not are marketing people. None of us have worked in any marketing capacity whatsoever. So it makes sense for us to take our own medicine, if it were, and effectively get experts to do the marketing for us. And that's why we approached Height. And I think we've built a pretty good relationship over the years, and we're very happy with the work that has done. And I think the evidence is in the fact that our website looks brilliant, but then I'm a bit biased, and our engagement through social media, our newsletter, and our PR placements has increased a lot over the time that we've been working together.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Richard. I mean, we love working with you too. I've just noticed it's popped up that all of the girls here at Hyped are missing you too, and are looking forward to when we can all reunite again, hopefully at Beer next year. Hopefully it won't be cancelled. Yeah.
Yep, that would be great.
Yeah, but it's been an absolute pleasure to have this quick chat with you, and thank you so much for coming on board today. Which leads us on quite nicely then to, unfortunately, I'm sure all you guys thought it was going to come, is a tiny little sales pitch. So with us, everything, you get all the benefits from an in-house marketing team rolled into that monthly affordable package of just $1,595 a month. Each element we've spoken about today are the core tactics that the team here at Hype do every single day. So we make sure that when someone starts to investigate who you are, they don't get the wrong impression, and they see your company's worth and why you're better than your competitors. So if you need anything, please come in touch. But we also do websites, and we also do campaign support as well. So you're in the right place if you need any support on anything we've been through today. And before I let you all go, there's just one quick thing I want to talk to you about. So I'm sure you saw at the start that we're in partnership with SimPal and obviously the lovely Surrey FA. SimPal is our latest new sponsorship / partnership. Now, these guys are a charity that providing free prepaid SIM cards to those who are living with cancer. It's the only charity of its kind across the entire globe. And with COVID coming in, they've actually started helping out a lot more people. So it's definitely something to watch in terms of over the next couple of years. Now, their vision is to make social isolation a thing of the past for cancer patients and now elderly and vulnerable people as well. So we're proud to be sponsoring their free phone number. So basically what that means is people who need the help and support can get through to their team a little bit better. We're going to be encouraging anybody who has any old phones, whether it's like a Nokia or an iPhone, to donate those phones through to SimPal so they can continue offering their brilliant service. What we're going to do here is set up a function so you can send through your phones to us, and we can pass them on. And we're going to try and get a little bit more of a fun process around it for you guys so you can see where your phones are going. But I do recommend everybody having a little look at the SimPal website. They're a fantastic charity, and everybody's just doing it from the kindness of their heart, which would be great. But if anybody has any questions or wants to know any more information about that, please do drop us a line, and we'll get in touch. And that's it from us here at Hypes. Thank you all very, very much for coming along and listening to me drown on for most of the afternoon. And thank you all for attending. Have a lovely weekend, and go enjoy the sunshine.